Good day, Miss
Evening.
Meta.
How you doing, Mr. Frank?
Not bad. Though I think you would like to go to the courthouse as they're having the
That was where I was
immediately
headed.
whatever.
You should come.
Well,
We can listen to people fight over things that don't matter.
from what I heard, it's pretty peaceful.
Oh,
I'm just
clearly.
afraid of having a headache with so many people there, because it sounded like everybody was there.
I'm sure it'll be fine, right?
Maybe.
Hopefully.
Guess we'll find out. And I do like the dress today, Miss Murder.
Oh, thank you, Frank.
And definitely quite interesting with the... I don't know what you call those things that hang down from your arms.
Veils?
Oh, that's what they are. Yes, those.
Hmm.
I thought the veil was for the face, not arms.
I think it's more has to do with the type of material it is. Would you let me
Of
inside,
course.
Miss Cora, please?
And I will be following. Oh!
Evening?
Good evening.
They must still be in the council hall then. Oh, I love the character model. There, you did it, Mr. Frank.
I have a bit of a headache. Oh, well, this seems pretty empty.
Because they're in the council hall.
Where's that?
This way.
Perhaps those people that do not make their voices known do so by their own choice. I understand that. I would still like the ability to try to help everyone in my district, but if this council decides that that is a step too far, I understand.
Doctor, can you mind for car, but what's wrong with this person knocking on the door?
I mean, that would be part of it. Even if we know the name, we still have to find the person.
Happens to know how to Yeah, since such a system is set up so that households should be able to opt out or opt in. At least there should be some way for them to choose whether or not they are alright with releasing this information. Now, we have a very faithful council at the moment, but one never knows what might happen in the future. That's why we are currently looking at laws, and there are inherent risks to releasing this information even to trusted councilmen and women. So I think it would be fair if those owners are able to either give explicit permission or refuse. Ideally, we would ask such a question when someone acquires a home. But of course, there are a lot of people who already own a home, so we should come up with a way to approach them so that they can make their choice clear to the realtors via their mailbox, so that everyone has a chance to make sure that their privacy is respected, if they so desire.
In thinking about this matter, perhaps making an opt-in, we could just simply have let's say, a directory of sorts, where one can look up a person and find their address. If they so choose to have it published, would that be acceptable?
You read my mind, Judge. Scary.
Was that what you were going to raise your hand about, Miss Genevieve?
No, I had an addition to what Miss Renault said.
Of course.
Just adding on, as I agree with what she just stated, I tend to, my mind runs away at times, down many possibilities. I think it's the scientific nature of my brain and how it works, but I foresee in the future we could have instances with people in trouble, perhaps they are a victim of a crime or things of that nature, perhaps they're hiding and living in the district, and there's so many matters of privacy that I think could be broken by not having it very often. And so for the safety of individuals and their right to privacy, I would suggest it be that way.
So I would say that we have an amended proposal that we create a public listing of names and addresses as so provided by the citizens of Murkystone at their discretion. We would like to take a vote on this today. Get this matter under the carpet.
Shall I return to my seat, Your Honor?
I have
Yes.
a question.
Yes, Mr. Gray.
Yeah, I am. And this is a question to you, Dr. Lacroix. Out of respect, of course. Was this request to the council, was it truly for the greater Murky Stone, or was this pushed because of a personal situation?
A personal situation?
Yes. It's fair to ask. Sometimes people tend to, without noticing it, mix personal situation with government. And a lot of people, especially those who don't want that entanglement, would probably look down on this as more control from the government. So I ask you, is this something that happened to you personally, or something personal that you had to bring this, or a situation like this?
It simply occurred to me that I know of several people in my district, but I surely don't know all of them, and if I am to represent them, I should do my best to speak with them and see what they need. That is all.
I yield my time. Thank you, Dr. Lacroix.
Thank you.
Mr. Lacroix, if you want to take your seat.
Yes, sir.
And then we should commence with a vote on whether or not we should enact a public listing of names and addresses as voluntary by the public. They may keep their name off the listing, or even have just an address, but have their name undisclosed. I think we should leave that up to their own discretion. That being the case, Mr. LeQuy, how do you vote, sir? Yay or nay?
On the amended proposal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, Miss Lenore, did you have a question that you wanted to address? Did I miss you?
Yes, I just wanted to ask who is going to maintain this direction. This direction. Yeah.
I believe that's the next question.
Very.
But let's see if we're actually going to do it first. Let's see how the vote goes, and then we can worry about who's going to do it.
No, of course, apologies, Your Honor.
So that was a yay from you, Mr. LeQuee.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Genevieve,
On the amended, yes. Yay.
Mr. Gray on the amended,
On the amended, yay.
Miss Lenore on the amended,
Yay.
Mr. Roderick,
Yay.
Miss Rose.
Nay.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yays, 1 nay, and I will abstain. So seeing that the yays have it, the amended motion has passed. That there will be a listing of public addresses and names as disclosed by the individuals at their own discretion. That we will contact with the realty office, and perhaps we can have them maintain that listing as more houses are sold, so that way there isn't any kind of double work being done. Would that be acceptable? Anyone opposed to that?
Can you elaborate a little bit? Elaborate more on what you're trying to say, Judge, because I, in my brain, I feel that actually would add more. But I mean, I'm not a real estate person, so if you could, because there may be real estate people here, maybe that would clarify what you're trying to say.
Are there any real estate people here?
Miss Brown is saying yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Miss Brown, would you please come down, darling, and stand at the podium?
I would be most delighted to.
I cannot wait to get back to my chambers. I have a nice bowl of ice cream waiting for me. I have vanilla and bourbon.
Good.
Yes, have you ever had vanilla and bourbon ice cream? It is.
Good. Have you tried the new restaurant?
No, but I will now. Miss Brown, you are a real estate agent, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And can you describe briefly for the council the I guess the procedure for when someone buys a house?
An individual who is purchasing a home in any of the districts of Murkystone has to come to a realtor, either simply by finding us in the business district. Some of us have actually stopped in our personal business, been woken from our beds in order to attend to the citizens' needs of Murkystone. We have to register the documentation, the titling of the property. We have to register the funds being transferred. There is a signing process for every sovereign of any nature that a realtor picks up from any citizen. Once that is complete, we register not only with the administration, but also keep records secured within our office. These records are updated weekly, but the simple fact is, at every transaction, they are double checked, either by well, frankly, whoever did the initial entry requests one of the other two realtors currently employed by Murkystone to double check the entry and to ensure correct and accurate information. We also spend at least 2 days a week traveling the districts to ensure all the free homes are properly labeled and signage is correctly notated. We collect the keys on the free homes so that those cannot be simply handed out to whoever or used as a inappropriate method for these homes. We are the only ones creating keys for these homes. So, should someone move into a home with perhaps a new husband or bride, or join a family in some manner, we're the ones that have to make those keys. What is being proposed is an additional burden upon the few of us. While we are currently in the process of interviewing and offering citizens of Murkystone the opportunity to learn what it is to be a part of the realty team for Murkystone. We do this carefully and slowly. We take a week just for the trainee to learn the different districts. What you're asking is for us to spend another day of the week sitting in the office, filing more paperwork that we have to correctly ensure is delivered directly to each council member individually, and what happens when a new council member is seated. These are questions that my people will ask me. These are questions that will come up in the hiring process to provide this service to the citizens of Murkystone. Please consider this very carefully.
Thank you, Ms. Brown, for that very brief and very concise statement. I think I can speak for probably many in the council here when I say that we do not wish to add to your burden. It would seem, however, that whoever would have the most accurate record of who is buying what house and who's where, that would most certainly be you and your folks. Now, I wouldn't propose that you go dispatching messages out to all the council members and trying to figure out who they are. I would just simply say that maybe just keep a list in your office. Here's who bought a house, and here's where they live. And if a council member wants to know, they can go to the Murkystone real estate agent office and go look themselves.
Your Honor, I have a great deal of respect for Murkystone City Council. I was born in Murkystone. One of the few things that every realtor and every citizen who has spoken to one of us is aware of is that the citizens of Murkystone's privacy is our paramount concern. The proper respect treated for every sovereign they bring to us. Every question is answered to the utmost accuracy, and there is no assuming with us. I will do as this council deems appropriate, but the current realtors of Murkystone are quite unanimous in protecting every citizen's right to a certain level of respectful privacy. This must not be done casually, and I would request that certain customs and considerations be written into law to prevent the invasion of privacy of the citizens, that no council member ever abuse this ability for any reason.
Indeed, your objection is noted, Ms. Brown. Mr. Gray, you had your hand raised?
Yes, I did. She brought up the same point I was thinking. It is clearly an invasion of privacy for people who don't want to have their information out there. It is what we council members want to protect our citizens from. If even the notion that I was brought up is kind of offensive to the people of this beautiful greater Murkystone Republic, or town, whatever we want to call this, I'm trying to say is I stand with Ms. Brown on this.
I stand with
I
the
yield.
privacy of Murkystone citizens as well.
This is why I voted no.
Well, I believe someone somewhere ran with something that was never on the table. The proposal was never at no point to divulge addresses, merely districts, so we know which our constituents are. That was all. That in itself is information, certainly, but it is not, I believe, nearly as egregious as divulging addresses, which was never on the table, at no point. So take your minds off of that, if that is what you're thinking. That was not the point
Does,
of conversation.
does a census not do that exactly? Divulge information of addresses of people that live in the place.
No,
Exactly what a
no.
census is.
I said very specifically what it would be, and I would hope that you were paying attention or when I was speaking. A list of names for each district, that was specifically what I said. I said nothing beyond that.
Yes, and the proposal, I believe you also voted in favor, Mr. Gray. Please do correct me if I'm wrong. But it was that people could choose if they wanted to be on the list, and if they did not choose to do so or did not make a choice, then they would not be on the list, making it completely voluntary.
And I
Well,
will
yeah.
add further. I will add further. If Miss Brown
What do you mean
believes
listening to me type? I don't
that
understand.
the the maintenance of such a list, which I would assume the realtor office already has to have for the records, but perhaps I'm wrong. If she believes that the maintenance of such a list would be a lot of trouble, the point of the list was to save some trouble for us in finding people. If it would instead create trouble, then there's no point to the proposal. I will take her word for it if she believes it would be very taxing and
Oh,
withdraw it. If that is
given
the
the
case.
I do not agree with Ms. Anastasia's privacy concerns, given that it would be voluntary for all citizens, but I do understand the additional workload. Originally, we were just asking, or your proposal, I should say, was a copy of the information that they already have. However, this would be a completely new list. It's voluntary information, and whether or not people want to have their names registered in this list or not, it should make it a lot more additional work, since it would basically be a brand new list. Of course, the old list would allow the realtors to verify that anyone given permission is actually allowed to give permission to disclose this information, but it does not reduce the additional workload for the realtor's office. And given the burden that they already have, as Ms. Anastasia explained, perhaps if we do decide that this is handled by the realtors, we
Who's
should at least
speaking?
wait until they have more personnel or find
Judge,
an
if I
alternative
may,
solution.
can we allow Miss Anastasia to please address the one who made the proposal?
Yes, of course. I was just waiting till Miss Lenore was done with her statement. Miss Brown.
Dr. Lacroix steps from a position that, it occurs to me, is based in a man who wishes to know his neighbors and their will and their concerns for the city. I believe that he has forgotten there is another organization within Murkystone, one bound under rules and doctrine that prevents them from discussing any matter whatsoever that they are involved in. You see, one of the things that Murkystone has always provided was the voting system that put each of you in these seats. What you're asking for violates the privacy of your voters, because suddenly now those same registrations must be released. And should someone have a seat and wish to reacquire it, losing that seat could cause considerable drama that Murkystone does not desire. Call councils inside your district. You know we'll come. Every member of this council could do it. You put out word, we'll all show up in every district, each of them.
I'll save you some trouble, perhaps. I respect the concerns brought up by you and Genevieve and the rest. This was only ever meant to be like a slight helping hand to us. If it was never meant to divide this chamber or the audience to such a degree, and even if it does pass, the fact that it does create such a division is not the result I wanted, I would like to withdraw the motion in light of the opinions that have been stated here today.
Very good. The motion has been withdrawn. Thank you, Miss Brown, for your time. You may return to the gallery.
Thank you for hearing me.
Yes, Miss Lenore.
Since it has already been officially adopted by the council, should we do a revote just to make it official? Since otherwise it would technically still be in the books as accepted.
Do we care to take another vote, or just simply note in the book that the amendment that was passed has been rescinded?
We have far more to cover. I don't feel another vote is necessary.
Mr. Clark, would you please note that the amendment that was passed has been rescinded and therefore is no longer enacted? Thank you.
That works as well.
The next subject to get through is, we have 4, so just bear that in mind. Construction of a church in Angelwood Cove. Do we want to just take a quick vote on that to give a yay or nay?
Proposals withdrawn. We actually wanted to suggest a different proposal. However, given limited funding, we are postponing this.
Very good. That motion has been withdrawn. Construction of a church in Angelwood Cove is no longer on the table. Is that also in the matter of proposal towards housing in Angelwood Cove?
That was the proposal we already discussed.
Very good, very good. Oh, we are moving along quite succinctly here. Okay, the next matter, and I presume that's going to be some matter of discussion here, is term limits for the council. I believe there's an initial proposal by myself that there is a term limit of 3 consecutive terms. This matter is, of course, up for debate or discussion. Does anyone have anything they would like? Yes, Miss Rose.
I'm coming from Rose Miss Falls, and the issue that I have with this is that, as Roderick and I found, we were unopposed in this, and so if term limits are imposed here, I fear that we may find districts that are unable to provide counseling here.
Very good, very good. Anyone else have anything to Miss Genevieve?
Yes, you suggested how many terms, but how long is a term?
Well, that was going to be the next question.
I believe how long the term would have to be established first, but I do recognize Miss Rose's and Mr. Aldrich's issue, and think that it should be considered.
Does anyone else have a thought on the matter?
I had a similar situation with 3 nominees, I believe.
Mr. Gray?
Thinking about this matter, Councilmember Rose has a point. Some districts would find it hard to replace. I'd like to venture more into this with more information, I guess. The council think about maybe an alternative measure, whereas we make elections to fill a seat instead of re-elect a whole council. I know that sounds so draconic, right? But still, I think it would be easier to fill a seat and fill all the seats. I really hope I'm conveying that right.
I no longer have a question, Your Honor.
Very good. Mr. Gray, I will be the first to admit that I do not understand what you mean, sir.
Yeah, I apologize. What I'm trying to say is, it's easier to fill a position than it is to re-elect every position. Now I understand that, especially in the growing country and in growing cultures, that is borderline draconic. But still, I don't know. Given the situation and where we are, and as you can see now, we have many vacant or absentee seats. I think it's easier to replace what we're missing, and instead of doing a full election again. But again, this is just a theory or just a thought. I'm not trying to pass any legislation on it. Just throwing it out there.
Yes, Miss Rose.
Are you more proposing that we only fill seats if somebody steps down?
As needed, I think. Or if there's enough complaints to remove someone, and we have to re-elect a person who is no longer performing in the benefit of the people. And again, I know how it sounds crazy. I'm just throwing an idea out there.
Understood.
Miss Lenore, you had your hand raised.
Without voicing my opinion on such a change, I do think that is drastic enough that the general public should be able to vote on it if such a proposal is brought forward. Since we were not elected to serve in such a manner. However, if there's public support, then that is always then things are different. Because that is democracy, and when we're speaking about these positions, it is very important that it is opinions are measured just beyond this table. Term limits discussion is of course one thing, but eliminating term limits, that would be a concern of everyone in Murky Stone.
So, when it comes to term limits, I think that
Yes, I meant voting.
Miss Genevieve.
Yes. I propose that we perhaps think on the discussion on term limits per individual. But I propose that we enact every 2 weeks the people vote for every seat. They keep their voices so that if their concerns are not being heard, they have the ability to vote someone out that is not representing them.
Yes, Miss Lenore.
If we vote every other week, then I suggest we increase our council meetings, or perhaps consider once every 3 weeks or 4 weeks. The reason being is that it is, as we accepted during our initial gathering, that all proposals are first announced, and then the next week we discuss them. But if we only serve 2 terms, that means that in our first term, especially as people, as new council members get acquainted with the process, they already have to announce their plan, and then the next week, they will discuss it, and if it's necessary to get further information, then by then they might be voted out of office, which might pose some logistical problems, which could be solved by either having a slightly longer term
I'm open to
or
suggestions.
by gathering more frequently.
Yes, if you all have suggestions for different time periods, please.
Mr. Roderick, you have your hand raised, sir?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't want to discuss this at the moment. Maybe give it food for thought for everyone for next week. But what happens if there is a district and there is no replacement for said councillors? What do we do then?
Indeed, that is a conundrum I think that we must solve. I would propose that we table this discussion until the next meeting. And, yes, Miss Lenore?
Yes, just in that case, we would have to agree right